Mhm.
Ian, I just wanted to summarize our conversation. What are your takeaways from today's episode?
Yeah, so I'd say that we're all unique, so not everybody's time management techniques are gonna be working for everybody else. As you mentioned that you have sticky notes, I did the notes app. Also I put in stuff in a calendar. And I see what your methods are, and I was trying to see, can you add on to these methods? And I don't do those things that you do, and you don't do the things I do. But that being said, we both have different ways of having time management. So I think that in addition to that, and adding on to that is it's a process because you mentioned earlier about that it took you 10 years to get to recognizing that planner isn't going to work, but a note, the post-it notes do. And then you add on the post-it notes, the content from the post-it notes into the planner. So that's a process to recognize
Right.
that it takes time to do time management.
It absolutely takes time and so much energy goes into
Mhm.
managing our time. One
Mhm.
of the things that I definitely want people to walk away with is that time is finite, right? 24 hours, everybody gets the same amount, but it's really the energy that we need to focus on because that is something that we can build. That is something that we can control, the energy of it. And the way I talk about energy in this episode is the cadence in how our brain works at a 90-minute interval, right? We can perform at a 90-minute interval at the highest capacity before we need a break, about
Right.
15 minutes to 30 minutes. And the reason this works is because our brain needs to throttle down and rest, relax. Just like everyone says, brain is a muscle. You got to train it. So the way you can start focusing on improving your time management is forgetting about time and focusing on your energy. What is actually giving you energy,
Mm.
right? And what's taking energy away from you. And the way I have learned that works from a neurological perspective and psychology perspective is blocking our time in 2-hour blocks, right? Out of that, 4 blocks is for sleep, right? And then
Mhm.
then you only have 8 more blocks to
Right.
fill out your day, right? It makes it, for me at least, so much more manageable.
Yeah, and it's an accomplishment. When you see the
It
blocks
is.
and you fill it out, and then you realize, "Okay, I finished 1 block, and I have 7 more."
Yep.
So you can see it's a sense of progression as well. With that sense of progression, that sense of accomplishment, then I guess it maybe triggers something in your head to say, "Well, I like this. I'm gonna do it again tomorrow."
That's
And you
right.
keep on doing it because
Yeah.
you have success, because you're accomplishing things.
Yeah. And you're reinforcing
Developing
your
habits.
brain to
Right.
say like I want more of this because our
Right.
brain
It's
will
positive
celebrate.
reinforcement.
Absolutely. The
Mhm.
dopamine, the serotonin,
Mhm.
everything just
That's right.
kicks up. So
That's right.
if you can recognize that 2-hour time block is going to be a great way and start focusing on what gives you energy and give yourself grace for rest.
All right. Hi, this is Ian,
This is Sim.
and we are here to talk about the psychology behind professional development. And today's topic is energy and time management. So, Sim, what is your take on that? How is your situation with energy and time management?
For watching the video, of course. I'm sure I'm
That's
going
good.
right? So for me, I have how do I say this? Yes, I have experience. It's so difficult to talk about because sometimes time works for me. Sometimes
Mm,
I forget what happened.
okay.
I get distracted easily. I get bored easily. So I am, what's the best way of saying this? Like, I get robbed of time often. If I don't have my system in place and in my system, I can spend an entire week watching TV, right? It
So,
just
now
loses
what is your
energy.
system then? So give me an example of your system.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. We'll get
Okay.
to that. We'll get to that because
I'm just
I
jumping
want to
right
know
in.
about your relationship with.
Oh, I tried to deflect. I would say I am terrible at
Yeah.
time management and energy management. If I'm not reminded to do certain things, it's just not good. I have to put things in calendar with with my better half because my better half has a lot of things going on, and the calendar is the way to track it all and to share the calendar so I know what's going on with her, what's going on with myself. I have to I mean, I'm terrible at making notes, but I've been told I need to make notes to kind
Mhm.
of list things. So I think I have always been just poor
Yeah.
at time and energy management. And the irony is how I'm trying to teach my son to do better at time management. And I am just like, well, do as I say, not as I do.
Mm,
Because it's just, as you get older, now you're realizing, now I understand why time management is the way it works and energy management is the way it works. And trying to
right,
explain that to someone who's exceptionally younger than yourself is difficult because, at that age, they're like, well, everything has to be done right now. Everything is reactive.
right. So,
Ironically,
okay.
everything is reactive for me too.
Yeah, you have a different perspective. You have a different perspective, okay? Because you're seeing yourself and then you're also seeing your kids grapple with this management of time and energy, right?
Correct.
So, and I'm going to get to my question. Like for me, growing up, I still accomplished things,
Hmm.
right? Did I manage time or did I manage the task, right? I finished my tasks so I wouldn't get into trouble, whatever that looks like, right? But
Yeah.
was I up overnight trying to finish a paper? I won't say because my professors could be listening to it.
I think it's okay to say something because if they're listening right now, I think the least of their issue was
Uh,
that versus AI right now. So I think you staying up late to finish a paper is it's
That's valid,
okay.
that's valid, that's valid, right? So for me, I knew I would get the work done, whatever that work is. How I manage my time and the stress levels, the energy levels that came with it is completely different. As I've gotten older, I've started developing some systems that work for me and the clients I'm working with, right? But we'll get to that a little bit later. But
Right.
for you, Ian, right, as a parent,
Hmm.
right? You notice your challenges and yet you've had a successful experience living through and going through life that got you here, right?
I think successful is relative. I
Yeah.
think that I would say I managed or
Mm,
survived or treaded
okay.
water. And I don't think successful because, and to your point, an
Right.
example is the paper overnight situation.
Right.
And that was me. And the irony is I would do that
Mhm.
throughout college. And there were some times going for my advanced degree that I would do that. And unfortunately, I expected it. So I expected that, okay, hypothetically, there is a assignment due on Friday, assigned
Mhm.
on Monday. Okay. Well, I know I've got 4 days to do it, but I don't want to do it now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bypass it. And then on Thursday, now I think I'm going to do it. And of course, the Murphy's Law of doing a paper the night before, everything's going to go wrong. Your printer's going to go to paper. You're out of toner.
Yes.
The computer's not going to is not going to be able to be accessible to the printer.
Right.
Your Word document's going to go all skew. I mean, everything at the last minute, and then the
Yeah.
stress level goes up, right? But
Absolutely.
this happens repeatedly, and so you're thinking that, all right, the next assignment that comes around, I'm not going to do that. But guess what? You do, and then the stress level again, and then the
Yeah.
Murphy's Law again, and you just keep on doing this
It is true.
endless cycle, and it's
Yeah.
so crazy because you're like, I'm not going to do this again, and then you do it again. But then you're like, well, I guess if I'm going to do it again, I'm so used to it, I'll
I'll get it done.
survive that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get it done
Yeah.
instead of doing it on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday and changing your mindset.
Right.
You're just accepting the situation as it is, and you're
Yes.
adapting to that stress level and that Murphy's Law. And it's just so crazy.
It is. It is. I'm gonna challenge a little bit here.
Yeah.
All right. Because there comes a level of confidence and comfort knowing that, yeah, I can procrastinate until the night before and still get it done. Right. I don't know if you felt that, but I've
Mhm.
felt that many times. It's like, yeah, oh my gosh, yeah, it's Monday. It's okay. I can watch this episode. Right. It's Tuesday. It's okay. I can go hang out with
Right.
friends. Right. So for me, there was a level of comfort. Yes, the anxiety is building,
Mhm.
right? The anticipation is building, the adrenaline is kicking in like Thursday night, right? But there's also a sense of that calm, at least for me, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of like, yeah, I'll get it done
Mm.
because I have. right? I've succeeded even with those pressures. I don't know if you felt a
Mm-mm,
sense of
mm-mm.
no? Okay.
Not for me, not for me. For me, I never found it as successful. I found it as manageable
Yeah.
and again, treading water
Mm.
because for some reason I think to your point, I wanted to do those things. I wanted instant gratification.
Yeah.
And so ultimately the work suffered. And now over
Okay.
time, as I got older,
Right.
I've realized, yeah, I do need to space things out. And so I've gotten a lot better at it. But
Yeah.
for during numerous jobs, sometimes
Yes.
unfortunately, I did push everything to the last minute
Mhm.
unnecessarily. And ironically, I would get mad at those who did the exact same thing. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry for those I got upset at, for those who waited to the last minute to do
Mhm.
projects. I'm sorry. I did it myself. I
Yeah.
shouldn't be that hypocritical. I apologize to those in the past who I've got cranky about. So please
No,
forgive me.
that's you are
It was
forgiven as a person that if any of my supervisors, professors are listening and I caused that level of angst, please forgive me.
man. And now I think looking at
Mhm.
society and technology
Yeah.
and our access to technology, it is probably a cajillion times worse because you can be distracted way easier and in many more ways than myself at this growing up or, whoever. I mean, we'll say people who are younger than myself, this is their floor with
Mhm.
distractions, right? To me, this is like a whole new world of distractions, but to,
Of course.
those that this is their norm. This is their
Yeah.
baseline.
Yep. It can become crippling.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And imagine your time management if you are going to school, if you have a career,
Mm.
and if you would just allow yourself 5 minutes on the computer, how that can spiral downward. I'm just going to check my email. I'm just going to check my whatever social media account. I'm
Absolutely.
just going to check it.
Absolutely.
And that's
There's
it.
a myth, I guess. Like we are multitaskers, and the science keep proving it. We are not multitaskers because our brain has to stop. We're task switchers. Our brain has to stop and then go for that email. But if we spent 5 minutes on a single task, our brain operates more efficiently versus if we switch multitask, as people call it.
Right. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not me. That's not
Yeah.
me. And I will not admit that I'm a multitasker. I will admit
Yeah.
that I'm distracted.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
maybe it's just over time trying to build a discipline to be a one task at a time
Mhm.
individual. And again, I think that with where we are in society and technology, I think that's very challenging to do something like that.
It's so challenging.
So I give credit to those who can do that, who
Mhm.
have a good protocol in place
Yeah.
or whatever system that they use to recognize I'm getting distracted. Let me go ahead and just focus on task X for half hour, take
Right.
that break, come back to task X for another half hour, and then take another break or however long you
Yeah.
need to take your breaks and work on a certain task. I give them credit because that takes a lot of discipline, way more than I thought it was going to take. Way more. It's,
It does.
you
It
know,
absolutely does. So how did you develop some of your time management, energy management skills? Whatever
a
that
lot of
is.
Yeah, a lot of help. A lot of help. I could not do it on my own. Clear as day.
Mhm,
My better half, I was going to grad school and I was working on a paper for grad school and think I knew about it for a week or two. And of
mhm.
course, my amazing self just didn't start on it until I want to say 2 days before or the night before
Ooh,
and I was work. It was not a good situation I set myself up, and I'm working on it. And then I think my wife at the time may have had a computer that was hooked up to a printer, and she's also fantastic at editing and formatting, so it can be printed out correctly. That's not my wheelhouse, but it wasn't hers. And I said, you know what, I've got this thing. It's due tomorrow morning because at the time I went taught at a school, and
mhm,
then I taught at a high school and then I went to grad school at night. So I knew I needed to get the paper done before I went to work so
right.
I could turn it in that day. And she said, I will help you with this tonight because it
Yeah,
was going to be a long night. And she said, but I will not help you again with it. And I said,
sure.
okay. And so
Yeah.
from that point on, I got my act together and I realized I
That's
had to
motivation
do
right there.
that is motivation to the nth degree because I
Yes.
knew right then and there that, she was going to, help me
Mhm.
with working on, keeping me in check, to do well in grad school.
Right,
And without her support and her assistance, I would kind of fall by the wayside and I would be doing this over and over again. So I knew that she couldn't help me. And this was not a bad thing to say that I'm not going to help you. She
right.
was going to help me.
Yes.
It was she was not going to help me with a paper the night before to edit and print and all the things.
Right.
So
That's
that's since that day. And then, of course, other people have helped
of
me throughout
course.
the years since then to kind
Yeah.
of say, you need to work on certain projects. You're working with other departments. So
Mhm.
you got to get with them and
Yeah.
talk with them. And if you have a project deadline, you need to kind of keep up with certain staff,
Yeah.
certain.
And this I love this example. The reason for it is one of the key component of that holds us accountable for our time and energy management are the people we surround ourselves with, right?
Yes.
Because leave it to just me on my own, my schedule is all over the place.
Hmm.
I'll get the things done, but it's all over the place. But having a commitment, right, of let's say, for example, recording this podcast, it's on my calendar. So I have a ownership, right? And I have an accountability partner in you
Hmm.
saying like, okay, Ian's gonna show up, I gotta show up, right? Ian's gonna be prepared, I gotta prepare. Right. Oftentimes for me, it's not self-management, it's community management. Right. Like I really appreciate the example of your partner, right? Saying, hey, I will help you right now, but this is not gonna happen again. Right. That is motivation and boundary setting.
Yes.
Say like, okay, I pushed the boundary a little too much. I
Or I
still
didn't know
have
what it was. Or I didn't know
right.
what the boundary was.
Yeah.
And then so it was set in stone to say, yes, this is the boundary right here. It is
Mhm.
truly an if then statement.
Yes. Love
So,
that.
and I had to respect that because of the impact it would have
Yep.
if the boundary was pushed
Yeah.
or if I didn't appreciate the boundary or
Exactly.
value the boundary,
Absolutely.
which I very much did. And I still
Right?
remember it to this day. And we're looking about, this has happened about 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it
Still
had to be
remember
20
it.
years ago.
Core
Mhm.
memory, core function of your
Right.
relationship maybe, right?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
And this is to give everyone hope that we are trainable.
No matter the age or the relationship,
Yes.
you too can be trained, it's
That's
there's no age limit that you can be trained.
that's right. That's right. Cue my ad right now. Oh,
It's
no.
and
This episode is sponsored by Balanced at Last, my coaching services. That's balanced@last.com. If you are curious about how I can help you, please schedule a free consultation call, a 20-minute call to assess your challenges and ways my services can help you. Mention you are a podcast listener and receive 20% off your coaching services. Offer valid for a limited time. Visit balancedatlast.com or scan the QR code on your screen or click the link in the description below. Thank you for listening.
I but you mentioned something, and I think for some reason this and I wonder if it is more of a gender-based issue that maybe as I don't know a single guy
Yeah.
who is organized, time
Mm,
management or energy management.
right.
I know many women who are time managers and energy managers. I'm
Yes.
serious. I don't know of a single male who is time or energy management. Now,
Right.
again, my circle is limited, so it could be that, but
Yeah.
it's just a fascinating picture
It is.
of, I mean, from a gender perspective.
All right. Right. No, I hadn't even thought about that. But when I talk about time management, it tends to be more male centric. But let me not make any assumptions right now.
Yeah.
Those that are
Same.
listening, put it in the comments, send us an email. All right. It'll be all be in the show notes and
Mm,
description. All right. Let us know if a gender specific research has been done or
mhm.
if you as an individual, identify as like, no, time and energy management is horrible for me. I can't do it. And I'm XY, whoever you
Right.
are. Right.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
I'll tell you, me, I wanted to be a planner person. Right. I'm holding up a planner, everyone. I wanted to be a planner person. And every couple of months, couple of years, I'll like, okay, this is the time. This is the day. This is the time. I'm going to get one and I'm going to be a planner person because I see the planner people,
Mhm.
right? I want to model what they can do. They have the planner, they make the check boxes, cross things
Right.
out, right? Whatever their process is, but they are doing things that are aligned with whatever they want. And I really admire that. And I looked at my closet after 5 moves. All right. I just looked at my closet today and I have about 15 planners still. And I
Ooh,
have used all 15. I know, surprising, right?
okay. This is good.
Yes, yes. A single to 5 pages maximum in each of those flyers. And that's it. That's it. That's it. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, there's so many empty pages. What happens to me?"
So that's interesting because you have 15 of them,
Mm,
right? So what makes you buy one?
yeah, hope.
Recognize that I haven't filled it out, but I'm gonna buy another one. I
Yeah,
haven't filled this out, but I'm gonna buy another one. So what is that process for you to say, like, you know what? I have one, I only have 1 or 2 pages filled in. Instead of I could continue more in this
yeah,
planner,
yeah.
or I'm just gonna buy another one. So what's that? I'm intrigued by that.
So, I'll share this as blame shifting.
Okay.
I blame the planner.
There we go. There it is. There it is.
I
That's
blame the planner for it. It was the planner, not me, right? It was the planner, not me. All right? Yeah,
did the planner tell you what to do? It was did
yeah.
the planner say to get another one? Is that what they
Yeah,
said?
that's it.
Okay.
That's it. It didn't work because it was a planner. It was not the right planner for me. All right.
Mm,
Thankfully, like one of the best parts of this is I can forget very quickly. Right. My closet still holds a lot of things. So out of the 15 that survived my fifth move, I've definitely given things away that are never been written on it.
okay. So how many do you have left?
15 right now.
You still have 15.
I have 15.
Are any of them specifically marked based upon topic? Or are they all just a generic whatever comes to mind
Yeah.
planner?
Well, I'll show you this one. This is just blank pages.
Okay.
All right. It was a free one that I picked up
Okay.
from an event, and I was like, okay, fine, great. And I think half, maybe, yeah, 8 to 9 of the planners out of the 15 are just free ones that I pick up.
Got it. Okay. That
Right.
may okay. In my head, I'm thinking you are specifically going out to buy more
Oh,
because or maybe misplaced one or two,
mhm,
or maybe you thought that this planner will inspire me and therefore it's not as good as this other planner. Or
yeah.
this planner is specifically for topic X, whereas this planner is for topic Y.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. Okay. I got you. So it's just like
No.
pick up things. Okay.
I just
Okay.
pick up
I got
things, and I will tell you the best thing that I picked up that it really made a difference are one of these. It's a
you.
post-it
Post-it
note.
notes.
This when I started learning how to utilize a Post-it note, that
Hmm.
changed my entire space. That changed everything that I knew about time management and energy management. And for me, like, if I hadn't, because when I look at my planner, right,
Mhm.
it feels overwhelming. I can't fill all these pages out. That's a lot,
Hmm,
right?
okay.
So for me, there's a level of commitment. Why plan all this out when some things may not even happen? Why write it down when something may not happen?
Okay.
And I found solace in is it 2 by 2, 3 by 3, whatever size this is, post, because it's temporary. You
Hmm.
just take a paper out, fill it up, and then you're done.
So there's more so you're saying is that there's more anxiety to try to fill out a planner
Hmm.
compared to recognizing that you're looking at a pad of post-it notes and you're not recognizing and you're saying, well, it's all temporary. I'm not worried about filling all of these post-it notes or getting rid of all these post-it notes, but there's more stress in filling out a book.
Yes.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
for me, and I think this goes towards, like, how my brain is wired,
Right. Yeah.
right? Because, yes, there's a lot of anxiety if I have more space. I feel like I should be using more space. At the same time, I think we touched on this, I get distracted, right? These are key components of ADD, deficit disorder, right? I'm not saying I have it. It's just some tendencies that make it very difficult for me to focus on a single task, right? The reason this helps is because it's an active effort to take it off this collection and write another page. So one thing this has helped me do is prioritize, right? I can write small and fit in, 10 lines a year,
Right.
right? But what it actually helps me do is I can probably fit about 3 lines of text for my handwriting.
Right.
3 lines I can accomplish, right? When I think about writing those papers or business proposals, things like that, that I have to get done, when it's so many blank pages, it's overwhelming, makes me anxious, makes me want to avoid working
Mm.
on it. And that becomes a crippling effect because it cripples me to inaction, right? And this is why we're starting to talk about energy more. And when I have a post it note with 3 things, I can say, you know what? I have the entire day. If I can do one of those 3 things or all 3 of those things, I'm done. It's a successful day,
Right.
right?
Right. And in addition to that, it takes more to fill out a page of a book versus a
Absolutely.
post-it note. And I say that because if it's challenging to open it to finish a page, you don't have a sense of accomplishment. And you
Hmm.
mentioned that if you do one sheet of a note, post-it note, you said, I accomplished something. So
That's it.
therefore, you now have this pattern of I know that I can accomplish something on a post-it note,
Yep.
but I there is no guarantee that I'm going to accomplish anything with
Hmm.
one page.
Right.
So you keep on doing the post-it note, and then you have less of a planner because your mind is shifting to
Hmm.
and I think you also mentioned that you accomplish something, ergo
Yep.
it's successful.
Yes.
And you didn't
Yes.
mention that at all when you talked about a planner. You didn't mention that if I did a page, I'm going to
Yep.
be successful. You're saying it's so hard just to get to a page, therefore you're not successful with anything in a planner.
E- Exactly. Exactly. And I want to preface this, right? The post it note was a self discovery for for me about 10 years ago. All right. This is where I started because I had to build out my bandwidth, just like
Mm,
weight training, strength training, right? At first, three bullet points here, 3 things to do here was overwhelming. So I just put one thing, one
right.
word, whatever that is, right? Workout. Okay. Once I did that, I felt accomplished. And then I'd put two and so on. And at this point, after about 10 years of it, I have an entire page just dedicated to one topic, right? Does this still overwhelming? Yes, sometimes, but it's a skill that I had to build to say like, "Hey, my mind has so many things um in the to-do list. If I don't write it down, I will forget, and that will have negative consequences for what I'm trying to accomplish. And those 15 notebooks that I had previously, right? I didn't build up my bandwidth to fill it out, right? No matter when you see me, you'll see a post-it note on my desk because
Right.
when that notebook feels overwhelming, I chuck the notebook and I focus on the post-it note. To
And
your
do
Yeah,
the post-it notes contribute to the
yes,
okay. So you take all
absolutely.
the main words and phrases and then you transfer them from the post-it note to the planner.
Yes. Yes. One way or another,
Okay.
it it is a record of what I've accomplished, absolutely,
Right.
right? And the reason I started with the Post-it note is because that was overwhelming, so I narrowed it down. It's like, okay, if I can accomplish one thing the entire day, right, that is 100% success rate. Right? So for me, my brain needs rewards to say, yes, success, right? To your point, a notebook, you have 20 lines. I think that's the average, right? 15 to 20
Mm.
lines. Accomplishing one thing from there, wow, that's like 5% success. It hurts, right? But 3 things on a post it, accomplish one thing, that's 33%.
And also you figure even with that, to your point, if you didn't write anything down, then you have to go back. So you're putting so maybe you had the thoughts, you lost the thoughts, you have to go back to the thoughts, and that's extra time.
Well,
You're
yes.
doing double the work just to get to one single
Yes.
topic in a
It's
way.
true. It's true, and this is where energy comes in,
Mhm.
right? We know that time is it's finite, right? We all get the same 24 hours, and we can't change that. No matter however we manage it,
Right.
it's not gonna you can't make time go faster or slower. That's not possible. And this is why I talk about energy management. We can control our energy. In neuroscience, there's a my gosh, a cycle. I'm forgetting the term. A cycle which mentions like our brain at top performance can operate about 90 minutes
Mm.
before it's just diminished goods, right? And then it needs about a 15-minute break to recover and then it can go again. So, one thing that I started doing probably about 5, 6 years ago is forgetting about time management. There's two components of time management that I still keep: deadline, negotiate a deadline,
Mhm.
right? And my non-negotiables. That includes sleep, eating,
Right.
exercise, those things. Outside of that, I don't care about time management because I know for me, I need to manage my energy, then I can accomplish my goals. I need the time part as a boundary to say, am I on track? Am I ahead or behind? Right?
And that takes, and again, that takes discipline as well. And that takes a lot of
Absolutely.
and that takes trial and error
Yes.
because everybody is mentioned this, that everybody is unique.
Yes.
Everybody's gonna have a different way of how do you manage your energy, how do you manage your time. For you, it's a Post-it note. For someone else, like myself, sometimes I
Mhm.
write down notes in my note app on my phone.
Yeah.
And it's now where I get distracted or where
Mhm.
I falter is checking the notes.
Mm.
I can write it down, but it's only as good as if you check it and abide by the notes and implement them accordingly. And if you don't do that, then the notes are, it's like your Post-it notes, they're temporary versus a
Yes.
planner. And I think that's where I still struggle, even as I'm, getting a little older,
Yeah.
is I have a challenge of I'm consistent in the ways where I shouldn't be consistent. And what I mean by that is I'm consistent in not checking a planner. I'm consistent in like not following the notes.
Yeah.
And if I write down notes one day, I may not write down notes another 5 or 6 days.
Yeah.
So I haven't still work in progress, still haven't
Absolutely.
gotten a specific procedure down, if you
Yeah.
will, and
And
be consistent with that procedure.
I don't think there's a this is a personality trait. It could be so many different
Mm,
things, right? I think we all, like your point, are unique and we all have to develop our own system, right? That works. And comparing systems aren't going to help us. It
true.
can educate us,
Right.
right? But if we're saying, "Oh, that's a good system, that's a bad system," and things like that, I think then we lose the purpose, lose the point of, hey, all we're trying to do is get things out of our mind to a place where we can start accomplishing something that is geared towards our priorities. I think at the base level, if we understand that, because my partner, she'll have notebooks, write
Yeah.
things down, all these things. She has a system that works for her. And I'm like, that is overwhelming. For me, to your point, I used the Notes app, loved it for like
Hmm.
a week. Then I stopped checking it. I stopped using it.
Isn't that
And this
wonderful
is,
when you just stop checking the things you write down? Isn't that
oh,
great?
yeah. Yeah. It works. It works wonderfully. And this is where, like, those that are tuning
Oh
in,
my
like, I
gosh.
have my accomplished Post-its on. One thing I learned is I missed like a appointment or something because it was in my notes. I was supposed to go and do something
Mhm,
and I missed it. That was bad. It was just
mhm,
bad. Ever since
yeah.
then, I started using Post-its and put it on top of my phone.
Oh, wow,
So
okay.
it goes like this.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah,
no matter what
yeah.
happens,
Sticking a Post-it note on the
okay.
phone.
Yep.
But that's gotta be temporary, though, because there's limited amount of space on a phone to put your Post-it note, so you have to
Yeah.
is that a day is that when you write something down, is that for the
Yeah.
day of? Is that for
No.
the next day?
It's usually for the next day,
Okay.
but it's not even the day. So for example, one of the tricks that you can do and goes back to the energy management is I block off my day in 2 hours because I want to take ultradian cycle. I think that's what it is. How our brain operates 90 minutes at top performance or high
Peak
efficiency.
performance okay, yep,
Yeah.
okay,
So I block off 15 minutes before, 15 minutes after. Gives me 2 hours, right? 90 plus. So I block off my day in 2-hour chunks.
okay.
In the Post-it, again, I mentioned previously, I can at max hold about three lines. right? So if anything is happening within those 6 hours that is urgent and important, they go on here. First 2 hours, second 2 hours,
Right.
third 2 hours, right? And that's it. And that started changing how I see my mornings and the night
Mm,
before because, like I mentioned, sleep has been a priority.
right.
If I'm not getting enough sleep and if I don't write things down these days, I just toss and turn
Yeah.
over the night and
Right.
I'm not getting good sleep. And then I am forgetting things. So the system that is working for me is, hey, or that has worked for me is post it on the phone
Right.
and that's for the first 6 hours. Usually it's
Right.
just one thing that is I cannot reschedule.
Do you
Now,
use different color Post-it notes for certain things, or it's just whatever you have, you
yeah,
just utilize?
I usually use whatever I have. I like because my brain can get cluttered sometimes,
Mm,
right? I prefer just one. Again, going
okay.
back to we're not multitaskers, right?
Right.
Once this is done, then I will go get another one and that's it. This has helped me start to utilize my calendar more.
Mm,
Again, this is progress over the last 10 years of
right.
developing system and then tuning it up just one dial, right? Because for me, when I went direct from planner to the notes app, that didn't help. So, yeah, I'm not using my notebook. Why would I use
Right.
right? For me. And as I started to recognize that energy is something that we can build, right? Think about working out. You can't just go and bench 100 pounds or whatever overnight. You can't run a marathon if you haven't run like, half
Mhm.
mile. You have to start with those basics and then start to increase the energy that you have. And for me, once I started recognizing that energy is more important than time,
Okay.
I started valuing, okay, what activities are giving me energy? What are draining energy? So, for example, binging on TV, love doing it. It does not give me any energy. It
Probably takes it
takes
away.
energy.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. But working on this podcast, working on my website, working with a client gives me energy, right? But I know that it's giving me energy for about 90 minutes. And if I don't step away for 15 minutes, then I'm just like looking at the screen and go, right? I'm brain
Yeah.
dead,
Yeah.
essentially. Not essentially, but so my in my patterns and my days and my meetings, I'll have those 15 minutes on or 90 minutes on, energy up, 15 minutes to decompress, 15 minutes to prep for the next energy. And one thing we touched on in a previous episode is if you're doing mental work, right, you feel depleted mentally, do something physical, right? If you're doing physical work, you're feeling depleted, do something social, right? You need to change it up. You can't keep going for the mental, or physical, because even though we're building up this energy, if we're not balancing it with different parts of our life, different parts of what we need, right, we get burnt out.
Right. And I think also adding on to that,
Yeah.
personality wise, for myself, I think I might have mentioned this in a previous episode of changing the mindset from reactive to proactive.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about your energy, you don't wait for it to be draining and then you say, I can't keep doing this over and over again.
Right.
You have to switch it to say, okay, well, and I think you mentioned this about you recognize what is making you giving you energy and taking away energy.
Hmm.
And then you became proactive
Absolutely. I didn't
versus to
know what was
say,
broken.
exactly right. Yeah, right. Exactly. And you didn't, but you were being reactive, or it sounds like you were being reactive. And it sounds like,
I
when I'm
was
doing certain
unaware,
things, is being reactive. Absolutely. Absolutely.
you
And
know?
that sounds totally natural.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. We started this conversation about how I started feeling success when I finished a paper or whatever.
Mhm.
But at the same time, what you highlight is, it was a struggle. It was just survival of,
Absolutely.
treading water. It was
Absolutely.
tough,
Absolutely. And it
right?
still is. It's still, I
Yeah.
mean, it is still is tough, but now I
Yeah.
think there is a grasp on what to do.
Hmm.
Versus at the time, you didn't know the only thing you knew what to do was to be reactive.
Exactly. Right. And you didn't
And
know
and now
what
you're
was
just switching it
causing
out.
that. You didn't know
Correct.
what was causing it. Like one of the key components of procrastination, as research finds, is perfectionism.
Right.
right? People who procrastinate tend to also be perfectionists. The reason for that, I found this incredibly insightful. The reason for that is you can say, well, it wasn't the best because I didn't have enough time to work on it.
Mm,
If I gave myself the week, of course
mm.
it was going to be perfect. But because I had other priorities, I did it overnight. Yeah. Whatever I delivered, it was good enough.
So the procrastination you're equating sounds like the same goal,
Hmm.
irrelevant of the amount of time you're given. But you also mentioned that, well, however much time I have, it doesn't matter. It's not going to be perfect.
Right.
So that sounds like you're setting yourself up for failure from the get go.
Self
If you're saying,
sabotage. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. No, absolutely. Absolutely. Self-sabotage. I like
Yeah.
it. I like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that in itself is challenging because if you're saying to yourself, well, it's not gonna be perfect. So that kind of dismisses the notion to even put effort into it
Yes and no.
in a way.
Yes and no. The reason I'm saying yes, absolutely, it does discourage you from giving your best. At the same time, the reason I'm saying no is we don't need perfection 90% of the time,
That's correct.
right? To chase perfection is a waste of time and energy, right? Think about all the things that we can accomplish if we are comfortable saying, yeah, this is good enough. We let go of that internal metric of I am valued because I am perfect to I am valued because I can get things done, right? There's a big difference between those two statements,
Right. Yeah.
right? And oftentimes we chase perfection so much that we fail to see that with our 20%, Parato's rule, right? 20-80, 80-20.
Mhm.
We can accomplish 80% of what needs to be done in 20% of the time. And the other 80% of the time is to perfect that last 20%. Sometimes it's not worth it,
That's right.
right? It eats at us. But as soon as we can start forgiving ourselves, letting go of that perfectionist tendencies, we realize like, yeah, no, I don't really need to work 40 hours, 60 hours, 100 hours a week. I can deliver my work in like 30 hours and 20 hours.
I wanted to
Yeah,
geek out
please.
briefly for those who have seen Tron Legacy.
You watched it? I haven't seen it yet.
Numerous times. I'm not going to give anything away, but there's a moment where dad is with son and says, or that well, no, dad's not with son. I apologize. Wrong scene. But the concept was, and he states, Jeff Daniels does, that the thing about perfection, it's never attainable. You're always
Yes.
seeking it, but it's never attainable. And so the point is that you're always going to be chasing it and you never know when you find it.
Yep.
And I think that's the thing with perfections is that challenge of vision and recognizing that you know what perfection is, but just the knowledge that how do you know when you reach it? And I guess with a task with careers, whatever the case may be, the perfect and we'll talk about this in another episode about the perfect job, the perfect career. I think the challenge is that when you're doing time management, or when you have the assignment that's due on Friday and you start on Monday, what does that perfection look like? What do you feel perfection? How do you envision perfection? And to your point of assuming you have something that's perfect, I'm guessing it would take an awful lot of time, an awful lot of energy, awful lot of sacrifice. Was it worth it? And I think it's relative because I don't know what it looks like. I don't know. I've never said on any paper or task or career that, yep, this is perfect. This project perfectly executed from start to finish. I've never had that.
And I loved what you said that we will never know what perfection looks like because it's almost there. It's almost
Yeah.
there, right? And the amount of energy and time it robs us,
Hmm.
right, from letting go and accepting, yeah, this is pretty good, right? And one of the key components that I think you brought up is it's this individualized definition of perfection, right? It might even be perfect to you. And then the other person sees it and it's like, whoa, that's
Hmm.
not what we were talking about. right? And then that shatters and reinforces the imposter syndrome, the anxiety that I am not good enough because I didn't deliver something perfect. And so that starts to
Right.
spiral,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But that's a different episode.
Yeah. we'll
That's a
we'll
different
discuss
episode.
we'll discuss my voiceover opportunities in that episode as well.
Yeah. Looking
talking
forward to
about
it.
talking about perfectionism and submissions, and you think you have it, and well, maybe it's just what you think is not the same as what somebody else sees.
So true.
So
It's
that
so
being
true.
said, that's a little teaser for the next episode.
Thank you so much for joining us and being part of the conversation. We hope this episode has given you some insight on your journey to a more balanced and fulfilling career. Please find Beyond the 9 to 5, a balanced career on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll be back in 2 weeks with a new episode. Thank you for joining us.